Gamers, a breed of intellectuals destined for great achievements surpassing science.
Hi, thanks for calling to just go home.
But why do gamers game? Is it the stimulation of combat in a shooter or fighting game? Is it the story-enriching interactive feeling of inserting yourself as a character as you freely explore a new fantasy world? Is it even the competitive nature of an esport? Or is there a gamer so far beyond comprehension by mere mortals that we simply will never understand? Who are these mysterious gamers? Well, they are the visual novel connoisseurs, the JPEG reading obsessed, the it's more than just reading, I swear, click. It's me. I am obsessed with visual novels. Now, video games have been a growing industry for some time now, gaining millions of fans who all enjoy their own genre but can still get along on the shared fact that they all enjoy the medium. Until E3 shows up and it becomes a fucking war zone on Twitter. But when it comes to visual novel players, it's like a whole separate group of individuals who kinda just sit in their own little corner, eating the food provided but refusing to communicate with the rest of the guests out of fear they will judge them. These gremlins who sit in their own little box don't really speak out much except in their own community, discussing their favorite characters, routes, and even dialogue from characters they have become very attached to. But the thing is, the visual novel community is even split up into its own subsections, things like eroge, romance, slice of life, horror, mystery, investigative, each genre hosting a plethora of good and not so good novels to indulge in. But what is the appeal of these games? Isn't it just reading with extra steps, or is there more to it? Well, your local visual novel addict here is ready to give the class a lesson on why visual novels are around and what keeps them going, and which ones broke into the mainstream fame and cemented the genre as a real type of gaming experience. So class, let's dive into the rabbit hole of visual novels. So we start this journey with a simple question. What is a visual novel? And if we take a quick search on Google, we see this paragraph from Wikipedia. A visual novel, often abbreviated as VN, is an interactive fiction video game genre featuring text-based story with narrative style of literature and interactivity aided by static or sprite-based visuals, most often using anime-style art or occasionally live-action stills, which is not wrong, but at the same time is a broad and not fully detailed description of what a visual novel is. In my eyes, there are three distinct types of visual novel: interactive, passive, and hybrid. An interactive visual novel is one that requires more out of the player than just reading. You make choices, you play mini-games, you have actual control of what is happening in the game. You aren't just a spectator, you are the character. Good examples of this type are Little Busters, Summer Pockets, Fruits of Grisha. These novels really want you to experience the game in a way where you feel that you are the player, and you are the reason the story is progressing. The passive type is a more hands-off approach to the story. You are reading, you are a spectator, you aren't the character in control. Games like this involve Iwahime, Eden, Nakasu. These games decide that you aren't smart enough or a real gamer, so they hold your hand, telling the story in a third point of view. And you are an autopilot reading a book with voice acting with pretty JPEGs to tell you how to feel. These kind of novels aren't fulfilling to me personally unless a story is like a 10 out of 10, because it really is just a manhwa in hindsight, and sometimes can feel like a drag with tropes you have seen before. But the last type, the hybrids, is where visual novels can become very unique. Hybrids, the peak of unique and new playstyles being formed in a visual novel, breathing new life into a genre that can feel oversaturated and bland at times. You just finished Little Busters. You feel warm. You want to play more, but you're kind of burnt out on reading over and over and over again. What do? Well, you look up visual novels that won't make you feel like you read the script to a movie with zero visuals. And what might you find? Danganronpa, Necrobarista, Katawa Shoujo, Steins Gate. These visual novels are unique with stories that set a new standard for the novel genre, getting anime adaptations and showing just how amazingly enticing a story can be and drag you into the rabbit hole. And with these new and creative takes, we saw something insane happen in the 2010s. Visual novel mainstream success, or the rise of Danganronpa. A lot of people's definition of mainstream success is not always identical, and some people can love a game or hate it. But we are going to set a bar for this video. Mainstream success in this video is determined by two factors: public discussion and the amount of dialogue on platforms like Steam and Reddit. Which Reddit is a stretch because the breathing I feel down my neck the moment I mention Reddit's favorite video game is honestly kind of frightening, and I feel my family is going to be taken hostage at any moment. So what game first saw a mainstream-wide outburst of success that was noticeable to other gaming communities? What style was it? Well, let's take a dive into the first big game to succeed, Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. 2010 was a year of the gamers, with mass sellers coming out that year like Mass Effect 2, Fallout New Vegas, Call of Duty Black Ops, BioShock 2, Halo Reach. As you can tell, this was the golden age of gaming and online play. This era of gaming is what a lot of us would like to call the chosen time. If you were in middle school or high school and had way too much time on your hands, these were the games you were playing. But a game no one saw at the time but slowly gained a cult following was a visual novel mystery murder survival game with an interactive investigation system with a lot of unique characters. And that was Danganronpa, and yes, those were all tags used to describe the game on Steam. Danganronpa had a unique art style with unique characters, which is the main draw of this game. Each character has a super level talent, things like gambling, swimming, martial arts, being a rich boy with a spoiled background and a superiority complex who insults you to no end but ends up being your best buddy by the end of the game, and the character you control. Luck. Yes, luck. And surprisingly, it's random too, totally not inspired by anime, never. And when looking at the Wikipedia, this game was a massive success on the PS Vita. Wait, the PS Vita? What? Yes, your ears did not deceive you, the PS Vita and the series was a commercial success. As of 2018 of the 7th of November, the game series had sold over 930,000 units in Japan. The best-selling Danganronpa game was Trigger Happy Havoc, which sold a total of 250 units on the PlayStation Portable. In Europe and the United States, combined sales of the first two games on the PS Vita have surpassed 200,000 copies as of 2015. Spike Chunsoft reported in March 2018 that the two games each sold an additional 200,000 units on Steam, and by 2020, the entire series has reached a 3.5 million copies sold worldwide peak. And when you look at the Steam reviews, it shows. With 18,000 reviews with an average of overwhelmingly positive, which in the game world is a fucking killer because Steam is just like Twitter, they hate everything that isn't perfect. This visual novel was a huge success and showed how this hybrid style of interactive gameplay, unique and vivid characters, and a good enough premise, a visual novel can take the game world by storm. So while seeing a visual novel succeed and the genre grow was nice for the subculture of this game genre, there remains one question to be answered. What even is the appeal? Why do people enjoy such a narrative-based game that relies more on storytelling and reading than actual gameplay? Because video games that have succeeded massively never succeed just on story. They have unique gameplay, fast-paced action, replayability, things that make people come back and spread word about these games. Well, in my personal experience, a lot of it has to do with two things: prior fandom background and pacing. You see, once you've played enough video games or watched enough anime, a sense of burnout can creep in, a sense of deja vu. The genres become stale. Every shooter has the same base concepts, every RPG has grinding, every rhythm game is a music-based idea, and every esports is about growing your skill. But a visual novel is a chance to relax, to step back and get invested in a story at your own pace. You can play an hour a day or degen for 10 hours a day. It's up to you, and it all feels relaxed. You can focus on the emotions of the story, and less about maximizing your skills. And a lot of anime fans, when in burnout, gravitate towards this medium because it's a new way to indulge in storytelling, and for me, it was with books. I needed a reset button on my love of a good book. So I gravitated towards a game like Kadowa Shoujo or Little Busters. The wholesome yet heart-wrenching stories really gave me a new appreciation for heavy stories to get invested in. And that is the appeal. The story. No matter how many arguments you make, visual novels are just novels. They are meant to be read and to get absorbed in the story, not to be treated as a video game, but as a piece of literature you are reading in a new format. And that is what makes them so unique and adored. It's a new way to experience things you already loved or had been missing recently. Visual novels are never going to be this mainstream idea of gaming, but the growth of the genre is a good feeling for me, and I do hope at some point everyone finds at least one they can connect with and get something out of like I have.